Italians are known for their esteemed artistic abilities and the aesthetic understanding of the world, which is highly visible in their films. And Italian filmmaking stalwarts like Mario Bava, Dario Argento, and Lucio Fulci have set some of the horror conventions that we know of now. The set design, styling, mood in the films are profoundly captivating, but what serves best for these films is the brilliant use of special effects to create terror and induce jump scares. Stories that are not so well built are compensated by beguiling murder sequences, mystery, imagery, and cinematography. However, many of these gems have been swept under the rug of time, and it was only apt to shed more light on these forgotten and underloved gems of Italian horror cinema. In this video, we will explore the 6 brilliant and scary Italian horror films that people don't remember. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to us. It may be a small click from you, but goes a long way for us. Let's begin, shall we? Zombie, 1979. A completely abandoned boat reaches New York, and the 2 officers present at the harbor are brutally killed by 2 zombies when they try to investigate the boat. And Bowles asks for information about her missing father, who's the owner of the boat, and she meets Peter West, the journalist who has been assigned for this case. The 2 of them decide to travel to Maddle Island to investigate the matter further and meet the couple, Brian Hull and Susan Barrett, on the way. They meet Dr. David Mernard, who's trying to find a cure to a deadly disease that turns humans into bloodthirsty zombies. Zombie is undoubtedly one of the best works of Lucio Fulci. Fulci lays his hands on one of the most popular horror genres, that is, zombies, and has outdone himself. If you're a zombie film lover, this gut-wrenching piece of work will keep you seated till the very end. This film is often called a rip-off of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, but it's anything but true. A sense of doom can be felt in every scene of the film. Fulci is successful in creating an atmosphere, with shocking gore scenes now and then. No other Italian director has topped his work, and is certainly worthy of applause. The Beyond, 1981. Liza Merrill owns a hotel and moves to New York to reopen it. As one of the helpers faces a terrible accident, it appears that strange things are about to happen. A plumber named Joe attempts to investigate why there has been an issue with running water and is murdered by an unseen force. Joe's wife also dies due to an acid bath in her face. Liza comes across a blind girl who warns her about the hotel's haunted history. Many more accidents follow after this, and it is learned that Shriek, an artist of hellish paintings, used to live in room 36 and that the inn was built on the 7th gate of hell. Liza has to find out the secret behind the doors of death and face the evil before it endangers humanity. This movie can be an amalgamation of typical Italian horror and monster movies. However, Fulci has successfully created an atmosphere where tension and anxiety can be felt every moment. The Beyond is one of those films that will feel better as a recollection than the experience. When the film was restored in 1988, the spider bite dream sequence was used in Spider-Man 2002. The Church, 1989. In medieval Europe, a group of crusading knights invaded a village full of demonic worshippers and executed them. They bury the corpses and build a Gothic church on the remains. Years later, the new librarian Evans arrives and meets Lisa, an archaeologist researching the church's catacombs. Evans is introduced to the church's bishop, Father Gus, who warns him to stay away from the catacombs. Despite the warning, Evans explores the catacombs in search of a stone and a sealed crypt, accidentally unleashing a sinister force. This leads to a host of people trapped inside the church becoming possessed. A series of paranormal happenings follow, and Father Gus and a teenage kid named Latte are the only ones who remain unpossessed, at least for now. The Church is a masterpiece and makes its way to any list that speaks of underloved and forgotten films. Michele Soavi is a legendary name in itself in the world of Italian horror films, and this film seals the fact. Interestingly, it is wrongly assumed that The Church is a prequel to Demons 1 and 2. As we meander through the film, we can see Soavi taking care of the art visuals that he always does. Even though the story is simple, Soavi, with his sense of lighting and composition, makes the film extraordinary.
Rosemary?
Demons, 1985. On the Berlin subway, a strange man hands out free tickets for the screening of a film in the newly launched theater that has been renovated from an ancient Gothic structure. University student Cheryl and her best friend Kathy decide to watch the movie. A pimp, along with his two girls, creates commotion in the lobby, trying out stuff that is kept on display. One of the girls, named Rosemary, tries a mask that cuts her face when she tries to take it off. Meanwhile, an utterly disturbing horror film is screened, and strangely, the scenes from the film get replicated at the theater. Rachel rushes to the washroom, where she transforms into a bloodthirsty demon. The rest of the audience realizes that they are trapped inside the theater, because the exit gates have disappeared. Would there be any survivors? This Italian horror film will almost make you anxious. Paired with appreciable acting from the entire cast, a near-perfect metallic soundtrack, and storytelling, Demon is one of the best Italian horror films to watch. Interestingly enough, art imitating art is the basis of the subject in the movie. Though some might find the makeup and special effects a little too extravagant, it's undoubtedly commendable work. Urbano Barberini and Natasha Hovey both did a great job as actors. If you're a true horror film fan, Demons makes for an essential viewing. City of the Living Dead, 1980. During a séance, Mary Woodhouse experiences repeated traumatic visions of Father William Thomas hanging himself. After experiencing prolonged visions, the group declares Mary dead and buries her. Journalist Peter Bell further investigates Mary's sudden death and eventually saves her because she had only passed out earlier. Mary and Peter reach out to Teresa, the woman who conducted the séance, and the two of them learn that according to the Book of the Enoch, Mary's visuals indicate that the gates of hell have opened. And, if these hellish gates were not closed before All Saints' Day, it will cause the devil to take over the world. A series of surreal events follow, and Mary and Peter meet a local therapist named Jerry and his assistant, Sandra. Now, the group of four has to find out the tomb of Father William to close the gates of hell and save the world.
Be careful.
The story of the film is undoubtedly frightening, with apt use of shock imagery. This is one film where terror, tension, suspense, and horror can be felt at every moment and were blended with near perfection. The eerie musical composition by Fabio Frizzi, in Goblin style, takes the film's horror aspect a notch higher. Lastly, the commendable camera work, along with the amazing makeup and special effects, makes City of the Living Dead a minor classic in its own right. Don't Torture a Duckling, 1972. In the small, sleepy village of Exendra in South Italy, a local boy named Bruno goes missing overnight, and it somehow becomes huge news, and naturally, it results in reporters clustering in the town. The provincial commissioner, police inspector, and village head, Captain Modesti, investigate the case together. The police mistake and imprison a local, Giuseppe, only to find out that he is innocent. Soon, the other two boys, Michelle and Tonino, are also murdered. A witch named La Maggiara practices black magic in the village, whom the police also imprison on a charge of the murder, but finds out that she's innocent. The group of journalists that flock to the village includes Andrea Martelli, an experienced journalist who quickly becomes friends with Patricia, the daughter of a well-to-do businessman living in the town. They meet the village priest Don Alberto, the local priest, and eventually learn that Alberto's mother has a young child who witnesses all the crimes. Don't Torture genuinely remains one of the most satisfying works by Lucio Fulci. This slow-paced movie, paired with plausible camera work, unique characters, with an overall tense atmosphere, really takes Italian horror films to new heights. The controversy between the Christian faith and the pre-modern magical religious identity of the South has been depicted in the movie. That was all in this video. Let us know if you have something that you'd like to add to the list, and we'll definitely consider making a video about it. Stay safe and have a good one.